Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Being a kid today is depressing, literally. As the saying goes, the America you grew up in no longer exists. So what does that mean for young people today living in the declining empire stage? Well, one thing that means is the nanny state. A curious fact about younger generations is how they view themselves in relation to the government. In years past, the government was seen as an agreed-upon mediator when self-governing men were at an impasse. But now it's seen as an entity that is to clothe, house, feed you, and even give you attention and validation. Why do young people want such an all-consuming version of the nanny state to take over their lives? Well, look at this study published in the Journal of Pediatrics earlier this year that everyone's talking about now. The paper seeks to understand why the rates of anxiety and depression are at all-time highs among school-age children and teens. In pursuit of that end, it finds that, quote, "Our thesis is that a primary cause of the rise in mental disorders is a decline over decades in opportunities for children and teens to play, roam, and engage in other activities independent of direct oversight and control by adults," end quote. It makes a lot of sense, right? As social trust has gone down in America in tandem with the decrease in religiosity, it's gone a lot harder for a parent today to be like their great-grandparents a century ago, telling their kids to have fun outside all day with their friends, with the only rule being be home by dark. Where they go and what they do being unknown by the parent. That's how kids got tough and learned to think for themselves. But nowadays, in our sprawling concrete jungles and with most families not having many kids, who are the kids of today supposed to play with and where? It's hard to do so safely unless you're blessed to live in a nice community already. And with the economy being as tough as it is, oftentimes both parents have to work. And so more kids are being raised inside of daycares or by other babysitting type arrangements where they go from directly after school, meaning their entire day is being dictated to them by adults who don't want to be sued if a kid gets hurt. So everything is made sterile, neutral, and is designed to remove any healthy risks from a kid. They're told to be quiet all day, do what they're told, don't get hurt, and don't take any risks. Let the adults in the room do the thinking and risk assessment for you. And so it's only logical for them to think that a natural setup should exist into the adult world too, as far as the role of government goes. But again, think about how natural all that is. And then if you can't sit still or pay attention in such an unnatural setting, Big Pharma swoops in to say that you're obviously mentally ill and need some kind of medication so that you can be a pliable zombie sitting inside all day, cooped up, instead of playing outside with friends or siblings. Which brings us to this next terrifying study by Pennsylvania State University. Reading some of its main takeaways from this write-up about it at The Hill, we find that, quote, "The study found that Americans born in 2019 will spend about half of their lives taking prescription drugs, with American men and women projected to spend 48% and 60% of their lives taking them respectively. That translates to a total of about 47.5 years for women and 37 years for men." When it comes to this disparity between men and women, the study's lead researcher, Professor Jessica Ho, gave some important context. Reading once more from the article, quote, "The difference in the length of time men and women spend taking prescription drugs stems in part from the age at which each gender begins to take them on average. The study found that while most American men are taking at least one prescription drug by age 40, women on average are starting to take them at a much younger age, 15. That age gap is in part connected to the use of hormonal birth control and contraception by teenage girls," Ho said. It is also related to the higher use of painkillers and psychotherapeutic drugs among young women compared to young men to treat depression, anxiety, and ADHD, Ho added, end quote.